She helped an old lady every morning. Then 4 bodyguards walked in with a truth that stopped the diner cold. At exactly 7:12 every morning, the bell above the diner door rang. The same soft sound, the same slow footsteps, and the same woman. Her name was Mrs. Evelyn Carter. She was always dressed neatly, even if her coat was old. Her silver hair was pinned carefully. Her hands trembled slightly as she reached for the door. Most customers barely noticed her. Some did notice and quietly complained. She took too long to sit down, too long to order, too long to count her money. But one person always noticed her. Emily. Emily was 26 years old, working double shifts at a small roadside diner outside Chicago. She carried plates with speed and balance, memorized regular orders, and smiled even when her feet burned. But every morning, when Mrs. Evelyn Carter walked in, Emily slowed down. She would gently pull out the chair. "Good morning, Mrs. Carter. The usual?" Mrs. Carter would smile like that greeting meant more than breakfast. Oatmeal, black coffee, and if it's not trouble, a little extra hot water. It was never trouble. The truth was, Mrs. Carter counted every coin before placing it on the table. Some mornings she was short by $1, some mornings by 2, and every single time, Emily quietly covered the rest. She never told her manager. She never told her coworkers. She never told Mrs. Carter. She would simply adjust the receipt and say, "You are all set." To Emily, it was not charity. It was respect. Mrs. Carter did not talk much about her past. But sometimes, when the diner was quiet, she would tell small stories. About traveling when she was young. About building something from nothing. About losing people she loved. Emily listened. Really listened. Most people saw an old woman. Emily saw someone who had lived a full life. One rainy morning, Mrs. Carter looked more tired than usual. Her hands shook harder. "You look exhausted," Emily said softly. Mrs. Carter smiled. "Age catches up with everyone, dear." There was a pause. "You remind me of someone I once knew," she added. Emily laughed lightly. "Hopefully someone kind. The kindest person I ever met." That morning, Mrs. Carter left a larger tip than usual. 5 crisp $100 bills folded neatly under the plate. Emily ran outside into the rain. Mrs. Carter. Carter was already gone. The next morning, the bell did not ring at 7:12. Emily kept glancing at the door. 7:15, 7:20, 7:30, nothing. Maybe she was not feeling well. The second morning, still no Mrs. Carter. By the third day, Emily felt a strange heaviness in her chest. She asked around the neighborhood after her shift. No one knew much, just that Mrs. Carter was gone. Carter lived alone in a large estate a few miles away. On the 4th morning, something unusual happened. At exactly 7:10, 4 black SUVs pulled into the diner parking lot. They parked in a straight line, engines running. The diner grew quiet. 4 tall men in dark suits stepped out. Bodyguards. They scanned the area before opening the door. The bell rang, but this time it sounded different. Heavy, intentional. Behind the bodyguards walked 2 attorneys carrying leather briefcases. Conversations stopped. Coffee cups paused mid-air. The manager hurried forward. "Is there a problem, gentlemen?" One of the attorneys looked around calmly. "We are looking for Emily Harper." Emily felt her stomach drop. "I am Emily," she said, stepping forward. The attorney's expression softened. "Miss Harper, we regret to inform you that Mrs. Evelyn Carter passed away 3 nights ago." The words hit her like cold water. She passed peacefully in her sleep. Emily felt her throat tighten. "I did not even get to say goodbye," she whispered. The attorney nodded. "But she spoke about you. Every single day." The diner fell completely silent. Mrs. Carter was not simply a retired widow, the attorney continued. She was the founder of Carter Global Investments, a privately owned investment firm valued at over $800 million. Gasps filled the room. The manager stared in disbelief. The attorney opened his briefcase and removed a document. Mrs. Carter had no surviving children, no close relatives, but she updated her will 6 months ago, specifically because of you. Emily shook her head slowly. I just served her breakfast. You did much more than that, the attorney replied. He handed her a sealed envelope. It was addressed in delicate handwriting. To Emily, who treated me like a human being. Her hands trembled as she opened it. Inside was a letter. My dear Emily, for years, I have watched how the world changes when people believe you have nothing left to offer. They speak louder, they rush you, they look through you. But you never did. You gave me time. You gave me dignity. You gave me warmth without knowing who I was. Kindness is the rarest investment, and it always multiplies. I want you to continue spreading what you carry so naturally. Mrs. Carter. Tears rolled down Emily's face. The attorney cleared his throat gently. Carter left you 30% ownership of Carter Global Investments. The diner erupted in shock. She also left you her estate and a philanthropic foundation under your name to support elderly care across the country. Emily could barely breathe. Why me? She whispered. The attorney answered quietly. Because when she had everything, people admired her power. But when she chose to appear ordinary, only one person admired her humanity. You never treated her differently. Outside, more black cars pulled in. Reporters, cameras. The story had already begun spreading. The young waitress who unknowingly showed kindness to a billionaire. But something unexpected happened next. Emily looked at the manager, then at her coworkers, then back at the attorney. I am finishing my shift, she said. The attorney blinked. Excuse me? Order. The diner stood frozen as Emily picked up her notepad and walked calmly toward the customers. Life had just changed forever, but she was still Emily. Later that afternoon, she visited Mrs. Carter's estate. The house was massive, yet strangely quiet. Portraits lined the walls, awards, newspaper headlines, images of a powerful woman who built an empire in a world that rarely allowed women to lead. And yet, in her final months, she chose simplicity. The attorney explained something else. Mrs. Carter had been testing something. After selling a major division of her company, she withdrew from public life. She wanted to see who would treat her with respect if they believed she had nothing. In dozens of places, she was rushed away, ignored, mocked, until she found that small diner, until she met Emily. In her private journal, which the attorney later showed her, Carter had written one line repeatedly. Character is revealed when no one is watching. Weeks passed. Media attention grew. Financial advisors surrounded her. But Emily made one decision that surprised everyone. She kept working at the diner part-time, not because she needed the money, but because she needed the reminder. She invested in the diner, renovated it, raised wages, added health care for staff. She launched the Carter Harper Foundation, focusing on dignity programs for seniors living alone. National news networks invited her for interviews. One reporter asked her on live television, "Did you ever suspect she was wealthy?" Emily smiled softly. "If I had known, maybe I would have been nervous. Maybe I would have tried harder. But kindness that changes when money enters the room is not kindness. It is performance. Viral. Applications poured in for foundation support. Other businesses adopted her elderly dignity model. What started as one quiet act in a small diner became a national movement. Months later, Emily returned to the diner early one morning. 7:12. She sat at Mrs. Carter's old table. The bell rang. A new elderly woman stepped inside. She looked uncertain. Emily stood up immediately, pulled out the chair. "Good morning. The usual?" The woman looked confused. "I have never been here before." Emily smiled. "Then let me recommend the oatmeal. And coffee is on the house." Outside, the world continued moving. Markets opened. Stocks fluctuated. Headlines changed. But inside that diner, one simple truth remained. Power can build companies. Money can build buildings. But kindness builds legacies. And sometimes, the smallest act at a corner table can echo louder than an empire worth $800 million. Because in the end, Mrs. Carter did not invest in stocks. She invested in a heart. And that return would last forever.